Inner tubes, not a part of a bicycle many people get excited about, I know, but could upgrading your inner tubes be an easy way to improve the performance of your road bike? Save weight and go faster and better ride quality for very little outlay. What's not to like? But what are your options? Not all inner tubes are created equal, and there are three main types. The first one is the most common that you're all familiar with, the Butyl inner tube. Most new bikes are sold with these, and if you go to a bike shop for a spare inner tube, this is likely what they sell you. The benefits are they're fairly cheap, they're easy to use, you know where you are with this sort of inner tube, but they are quite heavy unless you get one of the super lightweight ones like the Continental Supersonic. So those are those. And then we have the latex inner tube, which are much lighter than these inner tubes. Also offer claimed lower rolling resistance, which we'll talk about later. And these are what you find in professional grade tubular tyres. And we're now seeing a few pro teams like Quickstep use these in conjunction with clincher tubeless tyres for the claimed rolling resistance benefits they offer. The downsides are much more expensive than these, and they lose air over time. So you're more likely to have to inflate your tyres before a ride compared to using these bog standard inner tubes here. The third type are your plastic inner tubes, of which this, the Tubolito, is the most iconic version because of its tiny size and bright orange colouring. It's actually a polyurethane material, and there are others in this category, like the Schwalbe Aerothan, to name one example. Benefits, as you can see, it's tiny. You get 15 of these in your jersey pocket compared to 1 or 2 of these inner tubes here. Super lightweight as the scales show. The big downside though is the price. These are much more expensive than these inner tubes. But if weight matters, these are an easy way to save weight on your bike. So you have cheap but heavy, you have super lightweight, claimed lower rolling resistance, and then a super compact, a super lightweight, but super expensive. So if you want to save weight, these are clearly good options if you're a weight tweenie and mountain climbing. But what are they like to ride out in the real world in terms of ride quality and rolling resistance? To try and find out if there's any differences between these three inner tubes, I've been riding them on the same bike, with the same tyres, at the same tyre pressures, on the same roads, using power and heart rates, to try and find any differences between the three inner tubes. And when it comes to ride quality and ride feel, there's a small improvement with the latex inner tubes. A slightly smoother ride, and I really put the emphasis on slightly, but the difference really is marginal at best. And the difference between the Butyl and the Tubolito inner tubes, well, there I can't tell any difference at all really. So a small nod to latex in terms of ride feel, based on my experience of riding my local roads. And when it comes to speed and rolling resistance, well, there it's even trickier to find any differences out here in the real world when there are so many variables. What we really need is some scientific lab testing data. Luckily for us, somebody has gone to the length of testing these inner tubes in a laboratory setting to find out which is faster when it comes to rolling resistance. Aerocoach is a well-known aero specialist. Its testing put latex inner tubes at the top of the table. They require 8 watts less power at 45 km per hour compared to your regular Butyl inner tube. The Tubolito comes in next with a 3 watt handicap to latex, and mid-table compared to latex, the best, and Butyl, the worst. And the Bicycle Rolling Resistance website also backs up this claim as well, saying in its testing that latex inner tubes are faster rolling than Butyl inner tubes. So 8 watts, that is your difference between the slowest inner tube and the fastest inner tube, which, depending on your point of view, might not sound like much, or it might sound like a huge amount. And given that pro cycling has been obsessed with marginal gain for the last 5 to 10 years, then 8 watts for just upgrading your inner tube is a huge amount. Just try and improve your FTP by 8 watts and you'll know how long that takes you and how much commitment and dedication it takes compared to just going to the shop and buying some new inner tubes. So 8 watts for free, well, not free, the cost of an inner tube, but an easy performance upgrade. So what is the verdict of this comparison of 3 different inner tubes then? Well, if weight matters, Tubolito wins. If you want to save money, then stick with Butyl. And if you want the fastest and best riding quality inner tubes, then Latex is easily the way to go. As for me, well, I'll stick with tubeless. It's still my preferred setup. But this has been an interesting experiment looking at the performance upgrades of a different inner tube. For a small outlay, you can get quite a bit of extra speed and save weight. So it's an easy upgrade if you're not ready for tubeless yet. And if you want to see a comparison of Latex versus tubeless, then let me know down below and I'll try and do that in a future video. The reason for doing this inner tube experiment was really because I know lots of you prefer the simplicity of an inner tube over a tubeless setup. And because we're seeing quite a lot of interest from the pros, particularly the Quickstep team, experimenting with Latex inner tubes in clincher tyres, replacing the centuries-old tubular tyres they've used. And before you say, I know it's not the most scientific test in the world, just a bit of real-world testing, get some idea of how these 3 different inner tubes compare out in the real world. Let me know what your thoughts are on inner tubes and which you prefer in the comment section down below. But that is all for now. Hopefully you found this video useful and interesting, and if you did, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and watch some other videos floating around here now as well. And I'll see you all again very soon. Thank you for watching.